You want for Christmas?
Cheese Johan, I dig it now. Je krijgt gauw, ja, KATE. Ja, gaan naar achterwaartse adat aya. Je gachtus aye. We kashóokʼ je ʼatángi. Kashóokʼ you do a sago. At kechtihin chasatin. Gwell kun sakshui ach katagu ye utien. Gwell jin katawe ach katagu. Gwell naskadushu. Arnold Schwarzenegger, you do a sago ka. Kashóokʼ chusati. Ye yawa ka we kuya da hai tu. Kochte kakota good. Atjoe yachana adat you tuchtatan. Wasa ya kwaka we kashóokʼ. Lingt a kashóokʼ. Gwell tlaig, gwell Johan you tlake kunacho ilkuzi. Gwell kelli in kachoni chais kasaka achjiu. Hokyunski do a sako we chatkausa. Kliat ge isiku get gudachsa yata. Yes, the cut. Yeah, ha we cook a konachoe had to us a gwage. Nachoe had to us a gwage, ya cook. Ya do Yisitinge? Ya the qua. Cook to tok konachoe a gursaku. One next day at the kachoe kachik. Cock at the aya yata. Hechwasaku gwasasai chutziti choa yak. Yaku choa konachoe achtuasagu batu. Ye awa Johanse achtuasagu yitu. Yaku. A joey kachik yata. Cock cut gin. You chosa yata. Yeah, welcome to Chisha Chitisa Achi. Konea adat you ʼatudli.átk. Enach. Okay. Recap. What was I talking about?
Terminator jokes.
Yes.
You're talking about your tattoo.
Remember my tattoo? Kasaka. Hokyun's katkosaka. Hokyunski do a sa kweka. Suits kan katangi daki jinne. His name is Hokyunsk. Dave Lang works in the Tsimshian language. High tide, yen uwadai. And it's from the verb dictionary. Just nerding out as much as I can. But that book means a lot. I've been carrying that book around for almost. I started in 1996. That's when I really started to study Lingt. And that's probably when I got my first copy of this verb dictionary. I had no idea how to use it. But y'all are gonna know how to use this book. So what is kashóokʼ?
Electric Man?
Electric Man. Right? So what could that be?
Terminator.
It could be the Terminator, but it's like a robot, right? It's a robot. So I thought we'd see tonight's, Clarice had sent me, there are bots now where you can put stuff in there, and it supposedly, now did this thing claim it could speak Lingt? Is that?
So I had just asked it to write me a short story in Lingt, and this is what it came up with. And so I was just curious what fluent speakers and people in the language thought about its accuracy and also what it means. Does it have any place in life?
You okay? So we're going to take a look. So here is the kashóokʼ ʼatángi. So with these, I do think there is a place for stuff like this, right? Like, maybe if someone wants to translate something really quick, either from Lingt to English or English to Lingt, maybe this can help. As far as like doing your homework for you, don't go that route yet, because it's gonna. I don't know where it gets the Lingt. But I will say this. My Lingt name is all over the place. And so I have a suspicion that the source, I might be involved with the source somehow. It looks like what it's doing is just grabbing random words and putting them together. So it's not a lot of association. So for example, if the sentence was supposed to be one day, a young Tlingit boy was out playing near the woods when he saw a beautiful butterfly and he began to chase it. So if I were to translate that sentence, I would say Tlaiki yadak ashkautligeti we atkatudain, ausatin we tlesu akakone a ithushi. And you have a lot of decisions here to make though. How old is this boy? If he's prepubescent, then it should be yadakatsku. And so you're tukane until you start walking around, and then you're either a yadakatsku or a shatkiatsku. You're a boy or a girl. But then once you hit puberty, you become yadak and shatk. And then once you sort of are a young adult, he's ka, he's shawat, and then ka and shawat, and then ka shan and shawat shan. So I just said yadak, although he's probably a yadakwatsko, I don't know. What the computer came up with was yach wugu kusti ye da'at chone on kat kashik yach klein yati ye da'at chone kad yach has yach sha klein wushi eo. So a couple of things is, I don't know if this is actually a word. Kashik, I don't believe it is. You do certainly, and so klein is big. But it should follow, like, so Sha Tlain is a big mountain. So as far as like that little part is correct, but you shouldn't have just Tlain just popping up in the middle of nowhere. There's also Yati, which is to be, but it has these two dots over it for some reason. As far as what these do when you put, like Wooshi is maybe they didn't sing. So like it's hard to tell. And then Cheo, I'm not exactly sure. But it's total nonsense.
Wow.
Right. It's not even close, and I'm not sure where it's grabbing. And so you could go on. As he ran, he stumbled and fell. When he looked up, he found himself lost in the woods. He was scared and did not know what to do. Again, we got Yachta Tlain Sha Dakwak on Haskeo Da'a Ayach ʼatángi Yach Keo Tlain Sha Uwagit. So Sha Uwagit, like the mountain walk there. Hasyach on Cleach Tlain Keo Shoutkan Shawatkan Ye on Uwagit Haskeo on. So it's grabbing like this same set of words. So you see Uwagit in there, you see Tlain in there, you see Keo is popping up like an awful lot. And so we were just talking about how hard it is to put sentences together. So just the other day. And so this computer is like, yeah. And so as you go through, you're going to see it's doing the same thing. So Tlain, Cheo, Sha, Kashjik, Kusti, Ausakach is a new one. Yukatangi just like dropped in there. And so the short answer is it's not working at all. But also like, what if it was just a single sentence, right? So like, in some of these, like the people welcomed him and took care of him. Like some of these, that might seem like it's pretty straightforward in English, but that's a pretty complex construction in Tlingit, right? So if they took care of him, dudatas yausatak, that would be they took care of him. They welcomed him. Nechas ausaat. They brought him into the house. They let him in the house. So something like that. Days turned into weeks. Let's see. But one day he remembered his family and his people. So what we should be seeing here is Tlaiki du'in kat dak se waha kat du'in kuwa uwa. So we should be seeing something like that, but we're not, as far as where it's going to find things, like if you were going to make, I remember I sat through this one presentation too about how to create a spell checking system in your language. And it was like a 90-minute presentation. And it was one of those things, what's the phrase? Like this could have been an email or something, you know, like it could have been 15 minutes. Like, because all of us thought, like, so you could take, like, let's say we took a verb, let's see, what verb do we want? Well, we're on fishing right here, right? So if we're on fishing and we're really only dealing, so like, these are all the ways the verb can change. S'éek, it's the command form for fish. S'éek, you all fish. It says troll here, but we're just going to say fish. It means fishing with a line. S'éek, don't fish. S'éek, y'all don't fish. S'éek, ʼatúli.átk, ʼatúli.átk. So this is changing so much, right? But once you learn how to do this stuff, like you see on one side, s'éek on the other. So the classifier is an S, and then t'éek is the root. Then if you look right in between those things, cha, I, 0, tu, y, 0, du. That is extremely consistent. That's the way the subjects will be every single time. It's non-negotiable. They have to go that way. But once you learn that, now you can start to, you know, you got a computer in your head. That's the computer we're worried about, because we're trying to program it to do this stuff, to say, here's a spot you can rotate, like a slot machine. You can rotate this thing between the pronouns. And then you can rotate this thing between this other thing. So then if you go to not fishing, kashóokʼ, 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 kashóokʼ. But the same thing, like, so you have kash, but because you have on it, it creates a few variables, right, that are, you'll learn what those are. And then you can have in the process of doing it, used to do it, did it, didn't do it, will do it, won't do it, let them do it. So when we talk about how Lingt builds patterns, right? Like there is a pattern in here that is predictable. To build a formative verb, you have the conjugation prefix and what we call qa mode. So that's why you see qa right there. So anqa, just like yainqati, yachnaqati. Those are hortatives, right? So to build a hortative, you got to have these certain things in there. And then you can learn that it's not like building logic off of logic. It's building patterns off of patterns. So what that means is if you put an IT at the end of here, so you could say hat kashóokʼ, or you could say, yeah, hat kashóokʼ an s'éek. So I came here by boat so I could fish. So the hortative one is like, let them be that way, let me do this, let them do this. But if you put the T at the end, it means so it could happen. I came here to study Lingt. But so like, what I'm saying is like the meaning of those things aren't related. Let me and so that I could, but just focus on the patterns. Like once you know how to build one of these things, you can adjust it. Another example would be like, if we look at this one. It's not there, okay. Let me pick an easier verb, hold on. I'm gonna jump to the T verb. So here's the T verb. So,
Oh, no, I was just wondering, do you know exactly where I can find the verb structure cheat sheet on the website?
I'll grab it for you. I'll drop you the file. Usually I have my book with me and
oh,
share the book.
okay.
No worries, sorry. Thanks for
So we're looking, okay. There's a verb component handbook that I think Advanced Lingt is looking at this, but I think we should as well. So I'm gonna drop it in the chat, just so you guys, just so you have it.
This is verb.
What's that?
Nothing.
Okay, so to this T verb, right? So this one's a little bit easier. But so coming back, like here is, so pattern building, right? I think we talked about this one before. So if you see Wu-ti, this is what we call negative perfective. It didn't become that way, it wasn't that way, right? So you'd have like pesh ye Wu-ti. So you can look up any verb in the negative perfective, and if you throw a relational suffix on the end, now you can build one of those, it's this, that verb. I'll show you one that you already know, right? I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we go down to teen, then we go for the S classifier. So this is, right, so here's huasatin. I saw it or I see it. What would I need to do to change this verb to I saw you or I see you? That would stay the same.
Would you, is this when you would put an I in the beginning?
You put an I right in the front, ilsatin, right? And so that causes this letter A to contract, ilsatin, I see you, right? But if you say, yak'e ilsatini, it's this one. But I put the letter I on the front of here, that again causes this letter A to contract, and then the I goes right on the end, ilsatini. So I could say, it's good that I saw it, or them. Yak'e khwasatini. So this negative perfective means I didn't see it, they didn't see it, it didn't happen. But when you just link it with two verbs, it's verb 1, that verb 2, and this one would be verb 2. Does that make sense? It's good to see you, right? So another example, right? How do you say, it's good that you came here? Anybody just know how to say that?
No, that's
Well,
the
that's
plural.
that's fine.
That's the plural version.
We could do that one too.
I'm gonna shish
Right? So we have you came here, right? So now we got to go to a gut verb. We were just doing a robot thing. Now we're doing all kinds of stuff. Okay. So this is the verb. Right? So if I said you came here, I would say hot iyagut. That is how you say that. Hot iyagut. You came here. Right? Like if someone's like, oh, hot iyagut. Wow, you came here, right? But to get this, it's good that you came here. Gonna cheese hot yigudi. It's that one. So what I'm saying is if you want to say thank you for this verb, it's good for this verb, that it happened, right? You look up the negative perfective, you throw the letter I on the end. Sometimes it's a U. It's almost always an I.
Why is it the negative perfective and not the regular positive perfective?
I don't know. Don't look for the logic. Just look for the pattern. Right? My suggestion for Lingt is just remember, like, you have verbs built off of verbs, and it's not about, like, your English brain wants it to make sense in English, but it's not going to.
Aren't patterns a type of logic?
Okay, yes, don't look for the meaning then. Don't look
Okay.
for the meaning to be the driving factor. Look for the patterns to be the driving factor. How's that?
I could see.
But it's sometimes a you.
Yes, and sometimes a you.
Okay.
It's going to be the exact same rules as the possessive suffix we learned last semester. Hit ach hiti, kate ach kately, be the exact same thing. gao, ach, gao, wu. Right? So there's a gao verb, right? So this is our fighting verb, right? So
My favorite.
I came here to fight for her, right? And I'm addressing a particular person when I say this one. The perfective would be, so there she is, du kach kuch gao. I came here. I'm fighting for her, or I fought for her. The negative would be du kach kuch shagao, right? Or if we'll just do third person because that's what it shows here, right? So I would say du kach ku shagao. They came here to fight for them. Or no, that's all. They fought for them. That's all it says. But if I want to say they came here to fight for them, right? So English uses to for that, right? Tlingit doesn't. It ties them together using this one. So if you chop off the klesh, hot uwogut, dukach kuwushgawu. That's how it works. They came here to fight for them. Now you can tie two sentences together, right?
Can you put down the notes?
Sure. What am I putting? Okay, so
Just the,
I guess what we're saying, okay, so here's what we're saying.
so if you just chop off the cat and then put
Verb
your goods.
A, that to verb B, right? And so verb B is going to be negative perfective plus relational suffix. Right? And so, for example, we can look, but wait, there's more, right? So we got a gal verb. We did a goot verb. Yake hati guti, right? Yake hatwa guti. It's good that I came here, right? It sounds kind of conceited, but maybe you're happy. Maybe achtuwu yake hatwa guti. I'm happy that I came here. It might have occasions to say that. Right? Like maybe I was thinking I wouldn't come. Thank you. Okay. So here, like, we can go back to the teen verb, right? So here is another teen. It's a teen verb. So we have ausatin, right? They saw them, right? Like, what's the scenario? Like, somebody's relative was getting ready to travel. They wanted to see them before they left. Oh, what's that? Huh?
Has her hand raised.
Oh, oops. Is there a hand up? Gunshish, sorry.
I was just wondering is it always going to be a perfective in the second verb? And what if you have a future verb in the first verb?
You can put, I think either one of them can change.
Okay.
But I think the default is for the second one to be a negative perfective. Like for the right now, it's good that this thing. I hope that this thing. It's going to be a negative perfective. But you can put it as a future. Like you could say, Ach tuwu ke guchsagu ye ik konechi. I will be happy when you heal. But that's
And that's not conditional.
well, it's like I'm saying, have these little appetizers, and then you're like, give me a big sandwich, right? And so the conditional is more like every time this thing, there's that other thing. So it's not so much like when, it's more sort of like if you go down that dock, you're gonna fall. Right? It's sort of like a lot more directly tied together every single time.
So that thing you just said, like, I'll be happy when you come, or, for the second verb, was that a future tense?
Those were
with
both futures,
I at the end?
right? So, because,
Okay.
so ʼatudli.átk. So here's how you would say it. ʼatudli s'éek iwunechi. That is saying, I am happy you recovered. Healed, however you want to think of it. So then you could say, whoa, caps lock. ʼatudli sagu. So the only reason why I say now we got a big sandwich is because futures they are a little complicated. Just a little bit though. Figure it out. And then ye ikwa nech. I will be happy when you recover. So as far as how this works, like it ties two verbs together very directly. Lingt does not need to, it doesn't need the when part. It's just built into the logic of the language. And I think your English brain your English brain's like, no, something goes there. But for Lingt, it doesn't need to be there. And this works really well for ganachish verbi. Right? Ganachish ach inkinigi. Thank you for telling me. But I could say tesh ach inkinig. You didn't tell me. There's a couple more, then we'll leave the robot alone. The robot just spun us into grammar. It's all. It was just a trick for me to talk about grammar all day. So here's another one, right? So we're like, boy, I sure hope he sees his mother before she leaves for a month. Did he see his mother? Yota'ake ausitin. Ausitin. Oh, yak'e awastini. It's good that he saw her, that they saw them, right? So, thinking of patterns, right? Here's another one, natich, right? You can learn how to build a habitual verb. What we're talking about now is just like, you can look this stuff up. But then once you know that, you say, okay, I use this yati verb a lot, so I need to remember ye natich. It's always that way. Ye natich, ye natich, ye natich. It is always that way. So the habitual means it's that every time. They do that every time. Like every single time, right? Like for example, we did this the other day. Like if you got a dog and sometimes your dog runs away, that's not this verb. But if every time you open the door, that dog is gone, that would be this verb. So it has a CH on it. There's a couple things, rules on how you build it, right? The conjugation prefix needs to be there and a CH needs to be there. There's a little bit more, but those are the two things, right? Those two things on that side, you got a habitual verb. But when you put klesh in front of it, what do you think that's going to mean? So if it says yena teach is it's that way every time. What about klesh?
It's never that way.
That's what you would think, but that's not how the logic of Lingt works. But once you get it, you'll have it, right? Because that's what I would guess too. That's what I would have guessed. But that's not. So when you put negative in front of it, it means it hasn't become that way yet. But now it's all about pattern building. It's all about pattern building, right?
Sometimes always.
Yes.
So in the oh here did I put it from? Okay. In what was the last thing we talked about? And not being that way yet. Is that always how it is is that the same as saying something isn't that way? Or are they separate?
No, you just said kashóokʼ uti. It's not that way.
Oh.
So that's just, you go right to a negative, right? You
Right.
don't need the CH on there. The CH puts it into this whole different category. So you could say, someone offers you some food, right? I got some pickled gumboot. kashóokʼ ta shao. It's ha kashóokʼ. I haven't eaten that yet. But if they both pull out pickled gumboots, and I eat pickled gumboots every single day, ha kashóokʼ. I eat it all the time. Okay, those are big bites. Sorry.
Oh,
There was one more.
we were just talking about eating, those are big bites.
Oh, I didn't even realize. Walked right into that. Okay. That's probably enough though.
Could you repeat again what PA that teach means again?
Yeah, so when you have the habitual form, which is going to have the conjugation prefix and ch, right? So for example, we'll go back up to this goot verb. Just going back and forth between some different verbs. So if you say, like for this one, they always come inside. They always come inside. Then you'd say, they haven't come inside yet, right? They haven't come into the house yet. So that's how it works. So you've got, so this gets, oh, I said we were done, but okay. So let's grab uguch. Okay, so we got nate. Oh, I did the wrong one. Okay, there we go. Every time I teach Lingt, I take people farther than I did the last time. Like if people who took intermediate Lingt last year came here and say, "You guys are doing this already? It's not fair."
2 weeks a year.
That's what you're.
I don't know. Okay, so what would nate ugutch? How would we translate that?
They
If-
haven't come into the house yet.
Well, just for the top,
Oh, the
nate
top one,
ugutch.
They always come home.
They always come in the building, right? They always come inside. That's nate ugutch.
They haven't come inside yet.
So here's pattern building the advanced level. If you put ch in front of this, that will contract klesh to the letter L. You'll grab the rest of this, ch nate ugudch. You'll put a letter I on here, which will change this ch. What will it change it to?
G.
Not a G, but that's close. J. And now, this is before they came inside. Now you know how to do, but this is just showing you
First pattern.
what kinds of things are coming, right? And then same thing. So you could say gut, which is what?
They went to the house.
They came inside. They came inside. Klesh nate ugut.
They didn't go inside.
Yik a nate. Copy and paste. Add an I. What's that going to do the T? It's good. They came inside. In the house, sections.
The amount of people who just call you Nashka.
Okay.
Drives me up the wall.
Time to do something else. Any other questions?
You're not coming inside.
Kune,
Ah,
I thought I saw on the verb chart that when you had nath ugut, or when you had ugut up, that you were using the fourth person.
oh,
And
did I grab the wrong one?
Well, in the negative, I thought I saw, I might be wrong, that it doesn't have a fourth person in the negative. Just curious about that. I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, so yeah, ugu, yeah, it should have been this one. So I gotta change that to a single O. Thanks for spotting that.
Okay.
I think you could say keshnesh ugutch, but I think it would be hard to pick up on. So the fourth person in a motion verb is tricky, right? So for example, if we say yanchagut, I'm going, yanigut, you're going, yanagut. That follows the rules that we expect. The subject goes cha, zero, just like it's supposed to. But the fourth person subject is supposed to be what? I think I heard it. It's very soft. Do. Right? So you do a soft. That's a fourth person. People call me this. Right? Duchayat, it's edible. People eat it. For motion verbs, quite often the fourth person, for reasons nobody can understand, is the letter A in the object spot. Ya anagut. People are walking. Someone is going there. A person is walking. We're not doing motion verbs yet. But thanks for noticing that, yes. So then I do think you could say, I don't know, I'll have to think about it. Nobody went there. I think you'd say kesh asa atugud. I think you just switch it to a third person, but you'd have kesh asa. Okay. We were just gonna go wading in the water. We went all the way to the bottom of the lake.
We went diving. We're looking for abalone right now.
That's right. Look at this sock. What do they call it?
We're diving.
Hinkaishi? That's what it's called. The sun star. It's got like, you ever seen it? It's got a whole bunch of legs on it, and then they fall off when you try to grab them. Okay. On to the next thing. Where did I put it?
We're diving for abalone without being told what they even look like. We're all looking for like a shiny thing, not knowing that they actually look cool on the outside.
Okay. So these two activities are based on two card games. And I think you can get the card games, but I think you got to print them and cut them out. So at some point,
You made or a card game that's translated or a card game that's existing?
this game was made by kashóokʼ,
Ah.
Duffy Wright, who is the ultimate game crafter. So she's made this, she's made 99, it's called ʼatudli.átk, Crazy Questions. So it's named that because of I think Crazy 8 is the card game, where basically if you make the cards, which maybe I'll make the cards, and what you do is every question and answer would be a different color, and that would help you to match which ones you're supposed to do. So you're supposed to answer certain questions with certain answers, right? So if someone played a question, wasa iati, you wouldn't play hundakihiti de yanchakut, because it doesn't align, right? I mean, you could talk like that. How are you doing? I'm going to the store. But if you said like that one would work. And some of them then we argue because I could say that if someone asked me that question. But you're supposed to just match the colors, not try to just win everything. So, giving you tools to talk about things. That's the whole goal of these things. And so the first one is a set of question and answer things that we could do. And then the second one is how to describe things. That's what we want to do next, right? Because in the beginning, Lingt, we learned how to name things. We would play these games, name the plants, name animals, name whatever, right? So now we have to describe them. We have to move beyond just naming things. Like, can you say, it hibernates, it has feathers, it's brown. It's brown in the summer, it's white in the winter. So I want you to learn how to say these things, okay? So the first thing is, how are we going to do this? How many people we got? Okay. I'll ask the question every time, and you can just give me an answer. Well, organically take turns. We'll just see how it goes. You first?
No, I
What gets you?
actually have a question.
Okay.
Is ʼatángi like always at the end of a question? Does it move to ever at the beginning?
It could be at the beginning.
Okay.
ʼatudli.átk, what's ʼatudli? What happened yesterday? That's a good question.
Okay, now we can play it, and I'll go first if you want me to. But
Wherever you start with is the most important thing. So if the focus is on what happened, but then the focus is on yesterday, then I would say yesterday first. What's ʼatudli ʼátk? So that the most important thing is just what happened. ʼatudli what's ʼatudli? So now I'm putting into a time first and then asking the question.
Okay, because in the 76 brigade Lingt, there's all of the weather and the very long sentences. It has both hidat and ku'a, and it's like hidat ku'a ake. So it has time at the end of the first clause,
Right.
and then ku'a, and then time at the beginning of the second clause. And
Yeah.
then sometimes that moves.
Well, that's where, like, we talk about this thing about artificial language learning, coming back to AI. Like, even the sentences you learn in beginning Lingt, those sentences are, they're very static, because they're supposed to be that way, because you're just trying to memorize how to say these things. But then you learn, you can move them around, right? This happens in any language you learn. If you're learning a language, you're like, how are you today? Today I am fine, right? Like usually your answers are so much shorter than what you give in a question and answer thing. What do you like to eat? I like to eat, right? Instead of, what do you like to eat? Reese's Pieces, right? So then I could just say, so now I'm going to show, we're gonna, wait, hold on. We gotta take a break, but before we take our break, we have to, they have these things up here.
I didn't mean to get us on this, I just really
No,
wanted
no, we
to-
have to do this. Now we have to do this.
I was just asking.
We will take a break. But everybody take turns to tell me how you say this can't, both of those names. How do you say it?
Reese's Pieces.
Reese's Pieces.
Okay, there's three options here. How many, show of hands, both on the Zoom and in the room, how many people say Reese's Pieces? Oh, that's a pretty large.
You know where I stand.
I would almost say that's a majority, but I need to count. I need to go all the way through.
Wait, we hear all the options before we vote?
Thumbs up. I see.
Let him cook.
Option number 2,
Dave.
Reese's.
That's not the choice.
This is not my language of choice. Okay, Reese's Pieces.
Come here, Alexa.
That's just how some people say it.
No. Why are you
Reese's or
asking us?
I'm
This is
just
a
curious.
He's got a
Wait
personal.
until we go over the vote questions.
This is important.
This is a dialect. It's a dialect exercise. Anybody in here say Reese's?
No,
Reese's Pieces.
Actually, say with an M.
Anybody online say? Okay, that's a 0. What about Reese's Pieces? I cannot be alone in this battle.
I think it's a
generational thing.
I mean, my grandma says it that way, so you're not alone.
Say it again.
My grandma says it that way, so you're not alone.
Some
Du'in yi'in kukach tu shagal. With her, I'm going to fight you all. What
this
if,
is the battle you wanted to die on.
I'm not gonna die on this hill. I mean, if I was ET.
Dialect.
Oh, what about this?
Oh!
I'm actually, can you say that sentence you just said again? Because with her, I will fight you all is something that I need in my life.
Yi'in kukach tu shagal.
Can you put it in the notes?
With you.
Okay. Everybody prepare
That's
yourself.
what I call. I just call LMP.
Okay. Du'in yi'in kukach.
You know, we've talked about fighting every single class since the lateral kindness.
We took it to heart. We're just playing. We're just playing.
I think it's like the verb root. I love snow now.
Okay. Wait, I'll say it once the recording pauses. Remind me to talk about something different. Okay. Wait, we gotta do one. Okay, one more. Hold on. Okay. So, how do you say this thing?
LMP.
LNP. Okay.
I worked in a restaurant. We always referred to it as
LMP?
LMP. No matter what brand we bought.
I know I might say it weird, but I say Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
LMP.
Worcestershire. My grandpa used to say the "What's that here" sauce.
I watched an old episode of Abbott and Costello, and they said Worcestershire.
Oh, nice.
That's how my mom
I
says
always
it.
call it Worcestershire. 'Cause
Yeah, just keep throwing syllables in.
Funny, and then it's funny when I say it because then I say I need the Worcestershire.
My mom says it the same way, but she also used to watch that show. But she's also like 63. So.
That's probably closer to the number of syllables that seem to be in there. But it's Worcestershire sauce, is that correct?
Oh yeah, what is?
We had to consult the internet. So we've resolved it.
Is
It's been standardized.
Is it like pronounced differently in the UK too?
It is. Wait. Okay, this is the American version. Wait, can you hear that? There we go.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
And then the British pronunciation.
Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
Can you talk in a British accent?
According to
I did one time at a Kagwantan Kui, did a long, extended Michael Jackson, which I could not do today, because it would be inappropriate on like cultural appropriation, supporting child abuse. It would be doing all kinds of stuff. But I did the high, like the super high register, the way the intonation, the way he talked, and then I said all in Lingt that I was actually it was the Jackson 6, it was the Jackson K-Do Shuchang, and it was fun. It killed at S'éek during fun time. I don't think I'll ever do it again. It's like that was probably 12 years ago maybe. Okay, hold on, let me pause the recording.
Right?
Okay.